Mark had always considered himself a simple guy. His life, a comfortable routine of work, friends, and the occasional night out, never strayed far from the ordinary. But everything changed the moment he received the mysterious invitation. It was just another Wednesday when the envelope arrived. The address was handwritten, and the stamp seemed foreign, with a strange symbol he didn't recognize. Mark almost tossed it aside, thinking it was yet another promotional offer or some sort of charity request, but curiosity got the better of him. The invitation read, "A date awaits. Your presence is requested at 7 p.m. Dress neatly." With no return address and no explanation, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something unusual was happening. He'd never been one to shy away from adventure, so he decided to go, though the oddity of the situation made him question whether it was a prank or a bad decision. When 7 p.m. came around, Mark found himself at a local cafe he didn't recognize. The building was tucked away at the edge of the city, and its modern, minimalist design didn't seem to fit in with the surrounding neighborhood. The door opened automatically as he stepped up, and a strange feeling washed over him, as though something far beyond his normal world awaited inside. A woman stood by the door. She was tall, elegant, and wore a soft smile that immediately made Mark feel at ease. Her dress was a shimmering shade of teal that seemed to glimmer in the low light. She greeted him with a warm, welcoming tone. "Mark, I'm glad you could make it. Please, come in." Mark hesitated for a moment. Something about her was off. She was too perfect, too poised. He had seen beautiful women before, but there was something captivating about her that made him feel both nervous and strangely honored. "Thank you," he replied, stepping inside. The cafe was nothing like the typical places he visited. The air smelled faintly of lavender, and the soft hum of instrumental music filled the background. There was no rush, no noise, just a calm atmosphere that seemed to put him at ease. "Can I get you something to drink?" "Tea, perhaps," she offered, leading him to a quiet corner table. "Tea sounds great," he said, taking the seat. She sat across from him, her eyes locked on his as she carefully prepared the cups. Her hands moved with precision, as though every motion was deliberate, not rushed in the least. Mark watched, intrigued by her calmness. "So what's all this about? Who invited me?" Mark asked, unable to hide his curiosity. She smiled again, her gaze still unwavering. "Let's just say that I was sent to meet you. You've been chosen for something very special." Mark raised an eyebrow. "Chosen? For what?" She leaned in slightly, her voice lowering, as if sharing a secret. "You'll find out soon enough. But first, let me ask you, have you ever thought about life beyond Earth?" Mark blinked, unsure whether she was being serious. He chuckled nervously. "Well, sure. Who hasn't thought about what's out there? But that's not exactly something I spend time on." Her smile didn't falter. "I see. You don't believe it's possible." "I mean, I don't know," Mark admitted, taking a sip of his tea. "It's not like I haven't read about UFOs or aliens, but they don't seem real to me. Too far-fetched." The woman looked thoughtful, almost as if she were considering his words carefully. "The universe is vast, Mark, far beyond your wildest imaginations, and not everything in it is as it seems." At this, Mark felt a little uneasy. She was talking in riddles, and it made him more confused by the second. He could see the glimmer of something in her eyes, something he couldn't place, something that made him feel like she wasn't telling him the whole truth. But he couldn't help it. He was drawn to her, as if she held some kind of secret he needed to uncover. "Look," he said, trying to ease the tension in his chest. "I don't know what this is, but I'm getting a weird vibe. Are you a journalist? A part of some weird project?" The woman laughed softly, her expression softening. "I'm not a journalist, Mark. I'm not part of a project. I'm part of something much larger, something that involves you, whether you're ready for it or not." Mark's mind raced. What was she talking about? "Okay, well, you're gonna have to fill in the blanks for me here. I'm really lost." She took a deep breath, as if preparing to reveal something important. "You were chosen for this meeting. I was sent to find you, and you're about to embark on a journey you can't even begin to understand yet." Mark's head spun. He opened his mouth to ask more questions, but the words never came. Instead, she reached across the table and placed her hand gently over his. "You'll understand soon enough, Mark. This wasn't just a simple date. This is the beginning of something bigger, something that will change everything." Mark sat there, staring into her eyes, the world outside the cafe suddenly feeling a million miles away. Something was happening, something he couldn't yet comprehend, but the weight of her words hung in the air like an unspoken promise. Whatever this was, it was just the beginning. The following days felt strange for Mark. After that unusual date, he couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious woman whose name he still hadn't asked. He replayed every moment, every word they had shared, trying to make sense of it all. Her soft voice, her calm demeanor, the way she had talked about things beyond his understanding. It was like nothing he had ever experienced before. At work, he found it hard to focus. His mind kept drifting to that evening, to the tea they had shared, and her promise that he had been chosen for something bigger. It was as if a door had been opened to a world he couldn't yet see, and no matter how much he tried to ignore it, the door was still there, waiting for him to walk through. Mark didn't tell his friends about the date. He knew they would laugh at him if he did. A part of him still couldn't believe it himself. It felt like a dream, or maybe a prank. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized that he had no explanation for what had happened. His phone buzzed, interrupting his thoughts. It was a message from an unknown number. He hesitated for a moment before opening it. "I hope you are well, Mark. I know you have questions. I'll be at the usual place tomorrow. Come, and I will explain everything." The message ended with a symbol he recognized from the envelope, the one from the invitation. Mark's heart skipped a beat. His curiosity was piqued again, but this time, fear mixed with excitement. What was she really asking him to do? Should he go? And if he didn't, would he regret it? He thought about it for a moment. His life had been comfortable, predictable, but something about the woman, and the strange pull he felt toward her, made him want to know more. The mystery was too much to resist. The next day, he found himself standing in front of the same building where they had met. His nerves were on edge as he pushed open the door. The automatic hum of the cafe greeted him, but this time, there was no woman in sight. "Mark, you came," a voice said from behind him. He turned to see her, dressed in a dark blue gown that shimmered faintly under the lights. Her eyes seemed to sparkle, and her smile was just as warm as it had been before. "Of course I came," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. She nodded, motioning for him to follow her. "You've been thinking about our conversation. I can see it. Your mind is full of questions, but your heart is pulling you forward." Mark hesitated. "I don't know what to believe anymore. What exactly is going on? You said I was chosen, but chosen for what?" She smiled knowingly, leading him to a private table in the back. "I understand that this is overwhelming, but it's important for you to hear the truth from me. The truth about who I am, and about who you are." Mark sat down across from her, feeling a strange mixture of excitement and fear. "Okay," he said, "I'm listening." She took a deep breath. "I am not from Earth, Mark. I am from a faraway place, a civilization that exists in a part of the galaxy that you've only begun to understand through science fiction." Mark blinked, unsure if he had heard her right. "Wait, you're saying you're an alien?" She nodded calmly. "Yes, I am. And the reason I came to Earth, the reason we met, is because you have been selected for a very important purpose." Mark shook his head, trying to process what she had just said. "You're telling me that I'm supposed to be part of some galactic mission. I don't even know you. I don't even know what's going on." She placed her hand gently on the table, her expression serious now. "I understand your disbelief, Mark, it's not easy to accept, but your role in this, your place in what's to come, is far more significant than you could ever imagine. You are not just any human. There is something inside you, a potential that only we can see. Mark leaned back in his chair, feeling overwhelmed. This is insane. I'm just a regular guy. I go to work, I hang out with my friends, and that's it. I'm not some chosen hero or whatever you're trying to say. The woman's gaze softened. That's the very reason you were chosen. You are ordinary, yes, but the greatness inside you isn't something that comes from training or preparation. It's something within you, something that has been waiting for the right moment to emerge. Mark didn't know what to say. He couldn't wrap his mind around it. The more she spoke, the more it seemed like she was speaking a different language, one he didn't understand. I don't know if I can believe this, he said quietly. That's okay, she replied. You don't need to believe it yet, but the time will come when you will. The truth is, you are already part of something larger. And one way or another, this will affect you. It's not just a choice, it's fate. Mark felt a strange mix of frustration and curiosity. So, what am I supposed to do now? Just go along with this? You don't have to do anything, Mark, she said softly. But I'm here to show you what's next, if you're ready. The decision is yours. As she said the words, Mark realized something. He had always lived a life of comfort, never straying too far from what was familiar. But now, it felt like something was calling to him, a force greater than he could comprehend, pulling him toward the unknown. I don't know if I'm ready, he said quietly. Her eyes sparkled, as though she could see right through him. You will be. You just need time. Time to accept what you're about to become. Mark sat back, lost in thought. His life was about to change forever, and he wasn't sure if he was prepared for it. But deep inside, something told him that this strange encounter, this meeting with an alien, was only the beginning of a much bigger journey. Mark woke up the next morning with a strange feeling in his stomach. The conversation he'd had with the woman, whose name he still didn't know, kept replaying in his mind. Alien, chosen, fate. It all felt like a bad dream, but deep down, he knew it wasn't. The mysterious woman had been completely serious, and for reasons he didn't fully understand. He felt like he couldn't just brush it off. The message she had sent him the day before still lingered in his thoughts. Come, and I will explain everything. It was clear that there was much more to this than he had realized, but he wasn't sure if he was ready for it. Who would be? The idea of being a part of something as huge as intergalactic politics, or whatever it was enough to make anyone feel overwhelmed. Still, curiosity got the best of him. Mark couldn't resist going. The meeting was set for the same place, at the same time, and despite his reservations, he found himself heading back to the mysterious cafe once again, feeling a mix of anticipation and dread. When he entered the cafe this time, she was already there, sitting at their usual table, waiting for him with that same calm smile. Her eyes, as always, seemed to pierce through him, as if she knew exactly what was going on in his mind. You came, she said, standing as he approached. Her voice was soft, almost soothing, but there was something in it that told Mark this wasn't a simple conversation. She was ready to reveal something that would change everything. I wasn't sure if I would, Mark admitted, taking a seat across from her. I'm still not sure what's going on. This is a lot to take in. She nodded, understanding. I know, but I'm here to help you understand. It's not easy to accept, I'm sure, but you've been chosen for something that's much bigger than you realize. Mark swallowed hard. What exactly am I supposed to do? I'm just a guy, living my life. I don't even know you. How can you say I'm chosen for something important? The woman smiled softly, as if she had been expecting this question. Because, Mark, you are special. You have the potential to change the course of humanity's future. What I'm asking of you is to join me, to become a partner in something that will not only change your life, but the lives of many others. Mark felt his heart race. Partner, what are you talking about? Her expression grew serious. I am part of a mission that spans across the stars. My people have been observing Earth for centuries, waiting for the right moment to make contact. We've been looking for someone who could help bridge the gap between humanity and the other civilizations that exist beyond this planet. And that someone is you. Mark's mind was spinning. Me? But I don't even know what you're talking about. What's this mission? What do you need me for? She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping to a near whisper. You are more than just a human, Mark. You are the key to something greater. But you have to trust me. I am offering you the chance to be part of something far beyond Earth, something that will make your planet part of a greater community. And to do that, I need you by my side. Mark was still trying to process everything she was saying. This sounded like something out of a sci-fi movie, not his life. I don't know what to say. How am I supposed to believe this? I understand your doubt, she said, her tone gentle yet firm. But there's no time left for doubts. The decision has already been made. All I'm asking you to do now is accept it. Will you join me? Mark's mind raced as he tried to make sense of the words. His first instinct was to run, to escape from the overwhelming confusion. But something inside him, a feeling he couldn't explain, made him hesitate. He felt a pull toward her, a connection he couldn't ignore. I don't know if I can, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. This is so huge. I don't even know you. And now you're asking me to join you in some intergalactic mission. How is this real? She smiled again, this time a little more understanding. I don't expect you to understand all at once. But trust me, Mark, this is real. And you're not alone in this. You'll have the support of not just me, but of others who believe in this mission. Together, we can help shape the future of your people. Mark looked down at his hands, unsure of what to do. His entire life had been predictable. He went to work, hung out with friends, and lived in the comfort of routine. But now, this strange woman had turned his world upside down. He didn't know what to think, and the weight of her words pressed down on him. I need time to think, he finally said, his voice heavy with uncertainty. She nodded, her gaze softening. Of course. Take all the time you need. But know this, Mark, whatever decision you make, your life will never be the same again. The path you're on now is set. The only thing left is for you to choose whether you'll walk it alone or with me. Mark stood up, still unsure of what he had just agreed to. But before he left, she spoke again. I'll be here when you're ready, she said, her voice calm but firm. And when you make your choice, you'll understand everything. I promise. Mark walked out of the cafe, his mind a storm of thoughts. Everything felt wrong and right at the same time. What had he just agreed to? Could he really take part in something as big as she had described? Or was he just being swept up in something he didn't understand? As he walked down the street, his feet barely touching the ground, Mark realized one thing. No matter what happened, his life had already changed. And now, it was only a matter of time before he had to make the most important decision of his life. Mark couldn't shake the thoughts that clouded his mind. The choice he had to make loomed over him, growing heavier with each passing hour. The woman, her calm demeanor and strange promises, was starting to make sense, but the more he learned, the more questions popped up in his head. Could he really be a part of something so vast? Was he ready to play a role in a galactic mission? The message had been clear. His life was about to change, and it was all because of her. He knew he had to go back to the cafe. The weight of her words lingered, and he couldn't escape the pull. The next evening, Mark found himself standing in front of the same cafe once more. The building looked almost unchanged, yet he felt as though he had crossed into another world. The door swung open as he walked inside, and he saw her immediately. She was seated at the same corner table, looking as calm and poised as before. But this time, there was something different about her. Her eyes, intense and knowing, seemed to hold a depth of wisdom far beyond anything he had imagined. You came, she said, her voice soft, but there was a glimmer of something stronger beneath it. I knew you would. Mark nodded, walking toward her slowly. I don't know what to believe anymore. You're saying I'm supposed to be part of some tradition, a mission. She smiled, the warmth of her expression making him feel slightly more at ease, though he still couldn't shake the sense that he was standing on the edge of something huge. It's not just a mission, Mark, she explained, her voice gentle yet serious. It's a galactic tradition. My people have followed it for centuries, and now it's your turn to understand it. Mark's curiosity deepened, though he still had doubts. A tradition? What kind of tradition are we talking about? She sat back in her chair, her eyes never leaving his. In the vastness of the galaxy, many civilizations have developed ways to connect with each other. My people, however, have a unique tradition. We seek out individuals who have the potential to help bridge the gap between our worlds and others. Mark raised an eyebrow. You're telling me that I've been chosen because I can help connect your people with others. Why me? What makes me so special? She paused, her gaze softening. It's not just Abba, but you, Mark. It's about humanity. Earth is at a crossroads, a point in time where it could either continue in isolation or join the galactic community. And my people believe that you, specifically, can help make that happen. You have something within you, a potential that is rare, even among your kind. Mark felt his heart race. But I'm just a regular guy. I don't know anything about space or galactic politics. I work a normal job. I don't even think about aliens. That's precisely why you were chosen, she said, leaning forward slightly. Because you are ordinary. You represent the vast majority of humans. Your perspective, your way of thinking, these are the qualities that will help us understand and guide your people in the right direction. Mark was struggling to grasp everything she was saying. You're saying that by just being human, I can help change the fate of Earth. That seems impossible. It may seem impossible now, but that's why I'm here, she replied. I was sent to find you, Mark, to help you understand what your role in this will be. You don't need to know everything right now. In time, you'll begin to see it. Mark leaned back in his chair, trying to digest the information. The idea that he could play a part in something so huge felt overwhelming. He had always been content with his simple life. How could he suddenly take on a mission that would affect the entire planet? You've probably heard stories or seen movies about the galaxy, about alien civilizations and all the amazing things they can do. She continued, noticing the skepticism in his eyes. But what you don't know is that Earth has been under observation for centuries. We've been watching, waiting for the right moment to make contact with your people. Mark's mind spun. You've been watching us. For how long? And why now? She nodded, her eyes filled with a deep, ancient wisdom. For a long time, Earth was too isolated. The beings from other civilizations weren't sure if humanity was ready for the responsibility of becoming part of something greater. But the time is coming, Mark. Your world has developed in ways that have made us believe you're ready to join us. But what do you mean by join? What do you need from me? Mark asked, still not fully understanding the gravity of the situation. She sighed softly, her expression becoming more serious. We need you to be the bridge. The connection between Earth and the other galactic civilizations. You will not be alone in this, but your actions will shape how humanity is viewed by others, how Earth integrates into the larger community. This is a responsibility that comes with challenges, but also great opportunity. Mark's head was reeling. He had never thought of himself as a leader, let alone someone who could represent his entire planet. I don't know if I can do this. I'm not a diplomat, and I don't understand all this galactic stuff. You don't need to, she said with a smile. You have something far more important, the ability to learn, to adapt. And that's why you were chosen. You have the potential to see things from a human perspective. And that's what will make you invaluable in this mission. Mark sat quietly, still processing everything she had told him. His life had been simple, predictable. But now, He was being asked to play a role in something far beyond his comprehension. "I don't know if I'm ready," Mark whispered, his voice full of doubt. Her gaze softened, and she reached across the table to gently touch his hand. "You don't have to be ready right now. You just have to trust that this is your path. The universe has been waiting for you, Mark." He looked into her eyes, seeing something there that told him she wasn't lying. There was no trickery, no agenda, just a truth that seemed too big for him to understand. With a deep breath, Mark finally spoke. "Okay, I'll do it, but I don't know what to expect." Her smile was warm, almost reassuring. "That's all I ask. Trust in yourself, Mark. The rest will fall into place." As Mark left the cafe that evening, a new weight settled in his chest. He didn't know what the future held, but he had taken the first step. The road ahead would be uncertain, but it was a road he would walk, one that would change the future of Earth forever. The following days felt like a blur. Mark barely slept, his mind racing with everything he had learned. He had agreed to take part in something bigger than anything he could have ever imagined, but the weight of his decision was beginning to sink in. He wasn't sure what was expected of him, but the woman, his guide, his partner, had promised that he would understand soon enough. The message came just as he was beginning to question his decision. "Come to the meeting place tonight. It's time." Mark hesitated. He had been waiting for this moment, but now that it had arrived, he felt a nervousness he couldn't shake. He was about to take part in something that no human had ever been part of before, and the unknowns were piling up faster than he could process. When the night came, Mark found himself standing in front of the cafe again. The same familiar building, the same quiet corner where they had shared their first conversation. But tonight, everything felt different. He wasn't just walking in for a casual meeting anymore. He was stepping into something much larger. The woman was already waiting for him, her figure illuminated by the soft glow of the cafe's lights. She looked calm, as always, but Mark noticed that her eyes were more intense, filled with a quiet anticipation. "You came," she said softly, offering him a gentle smile. "I knew you would." "I didn't have much of a choice, did I?" Mark said, his voice tinged with a nervous laugh. He had agreed, but now the reality of it all felt overwhelming. "What's happening? What do you mean by it's time?" She nodded, as though she had been expecting him to ask. "Tonight, we will begin the next step. You've made the choice, Mark. Now it's time to accept the responsibility that comes with it." Mark frowned, his heart racing. Responsibility. What kind of responsibility are we talking about here? The woman stood and motioned for him to follow. "Come with me. I'll explain everything." They walked together in silence, Mark's steps heavy as he tried to piece together what was happening. The night air was cool, and the streets were quiet, as though the world around him had paused to let this moment unfold. Eventually, they arrived at a large, unassuming building, its exterior plain but sturdy. As they entered, Mark was surprised by how different the inside was. It wasn't what he expected. The walls were lined with intricate carvings, symbols, and images that seemed to tell a story he couldn't understand. The air felt thicker, somehow, as though he had crossed into another realm entirely. The woman led him down a long corridor, her steps quiet and purposeful. At the end of the hall, a large door opened, and Mark stepped into a vast room. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The space was enormous, filled with strange alien technology and strange symbols Mark couldn't decipher. It looked like a cross between a futuristic temple and an advanced laboratory. He stopped in his tracks, his mind reeling. What is this place? Where am I? This, the woman said, her voice calm but full of reverence, is where it all begins. This is the heart of the mission, the ceremony that will mark the beginning of your role in this tradition. Mark looked around, confusion still clouding his thoughts. I don't understand. What's this ceremony? What does it have to do with me? She turned to face him, her eyes locking with his. This is the point where you will truly understand your role, Mark. You will be officially recognized. Your decision will be sealed, and you will begin your journey." Before he could respond, a soft sound filled the room, like a low hum, almost musical. The woman stepped forward, gesturing for Mark to follow. She led him to a raised platform in the center of the room, where a set of intricate devices lay. Some of the devices were shaped like large crystals, others like strange metal shapes that seemed to pulse with energy. "This is the moment that will change everything for you," she explained. "We must join in this tradition. The ceremony is not just a ritual. It's a bond, a promise between you, me, and the greater mission that we have set in motion." Mark swallowed hard. He had no idea what was about to happen, but he felt like he was being pulled into something that could not be undone. The woman placed her hand on one of the crystals, and it began to glow softly. A beam of light shot out, bathing the room in a soft, eerie glow. She motioned for Mark to stand beside her. "Now we will join together in the binding. The energy from this ceremony will connect you to the mission, to the cause. You'll begin to understand what's at stake and how your role fits into this." Mark's heart raced. "This is happening right now." She nodded. "Yes, the universe is waiting, Mark. This is your moment." He took a deep breath and stepped forward. As he placed his hand on the crystal beside hers, the energy that coursed through the room grew stronger. Mark could feel it in his bones, an ancient power that seemed to seep into his very soul. He couldn't explain it, but he knew this was real. This was happening. He was part of something far larger than himself. The woman's voice filled his mind, her words echoing in his thoughts. "You are ready, Mark. Together, we will change everything." For a moment, Mark felt like he was standing at the center of the universe. His heart beat faster, and he could almost see the stars themselves, shining bright, waiting for humanity to step into the light. The woman slowly pulled her hand away from the crystal, and the light around them faded. The room returned to its normal state, but Mark felt different. It was subtle, but something had shifted inside him. He couldn't put it into words, but he knew something had changed. "You've done it," she said, her voice soft but full of pride. "You're now officially part of the mission. From this moment forward, your life will be linked to something greater. You will be a guide, a representative of humanity." Mark didn't know what to say. His world had just expanded beyond anything he had ever imagined. His life was no longer just his own. It belonged to something much bigger. The woman smiled at him, as if she could see the transformation in him. "Welcome, Mark. The future is waiting, and now you're ready to meet it." As he left the ceremony, Mark knew one thing for sure. His life was never going to be the same again. And there was no turning back. Mark walked through the quiet streets, his mind racing with thoughts he could barely process. The ceremony had been unlike anything he had ever imagined. He had stood in that strange room, placed his hand on a glowing crystal, and felt a connection to something far beyond his understanding. But as he left the building, he felt a weight on his shoulders. His life had changed, and there was no going back. The woman, his partner in this mission, had promised him that the changes he was about to experience would be overwhelming, but that they would help him understand his true role. Yet, in the days that followed, Mark found it harder to accept. The weight of what he had agreed to was becoming more real. His mind wandered constantly to the woman's words, "You're ready to meet the future." But what did that mean? What did it mean to be a representative of humanity? He was just a regular guy. He had no special training, no extraordinary skills. He was still just Mark, the man who worked at a simple office job and spent his evenings with friends. But now he was part of something far greater, and he had no idea how to handle it. The following week, the woman sent him another message. "Meet me. It's time to begin your training." He hesitated for a moment, then made the decision to go. He needed to know what this was all about. What exactly had he agreed to? Mark arrived at the meeting spot, another unknown location. It was a small, quiet building tucked away in the city, and when he entered, the woman was already waiting. She was dressed in simple, yet elegant clothes, her expression calm, but there was a fire in her eyes. "You're here," she said softly, standing to greet him. "We need to begin. There's much for you to learn." "Learn?" Mark repeated, still unsure of what was happening. "I didn't think I needed training. I'm just a guy. What do I need to know?" She smiled gently, her expression understanding. "You think you're just a guy, but you're so much more than that, Mark. You were chosen because you have the potential to lead humanity into something greater. But it's not going to be easy. There's a lot to learn, and the time is now." Mark sat down across from her, trying to keep his nerves in check. This had all happened so quickly. He hadn't had time to process it. But he needed to understand. He needed answers. "What's the mission? Why do you need me?" he asked, his voice full of confusion. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached for a small device on the table. It was sleek, futuristic in design, and it hummed quietly as she placed it between them. "This device will help you understand," she said. "It will connect you to the knowledge of my people. It will help you see the bigger picture." Mark eyed the device warily, still unsure, but she urged him to place his hand on it. With a deep breath, he did as she asked. The moment his fingers touched the smooth surface, a rush of images flooded his mind. At first, it was overwhelming, a blur of colors, shapes, and strange symbols. But gradually, it began to clear. He saw images of distant worlds, cities unlike anything he had ever imagined. He saw alien beings, their civilizations far more advanced than anything on Earth. And then he saw Earth, not just as he knew it, but from the perspective of these other worlds. Mark gasped, pulling his hand away. The images faded, but the feeling lingered. It was as if he had been shown a glimpse into the universe, a universe that was far bigger than he could have ever dreamed. That's what you're talking about?" Mark asked, his voice shaking slightly. "This is real. The whole galaxy. And you want me to be part of it?" The woman nodded. "Yes, this is just a glimpse of what's out there. What you saw is the future we're hoping to build. And that future involves you, Mark. You will be the one to help Earth take its place among the stars. You will be the one to guide humanity into the galactic community." Mark sat back, his mind still processing everything he had just experienced. The images were vivid in his mind, but the reality of it all was difficult to accept. He had never imagined anything like this. The universe, real, vast, and full of strange and beautiful worlds, was waiting for humanity to join it. "I'm not ready for this," Mark said, shaking his head. "I don't even know where to start." "You don't need to know everything right away," she replied. "This will be a gradual process. We'll start small, with the knowledge you need to make the right decisions, and as you grow, so will your understanding of the bigger picture." Mark felt a wave of uncertainty wash over him. He had always lived a simple life. Now, he was expected to take on the weight of something far beyond his comprehension. It was too much, too fast. But as he looked at the woman, he saw something in her eyes, a quiet confidence that made him feel like, maybe, just maybe, he could do this. She wasn't asking him to be perfect. She was asking him to trust in himself, to embrace the unknown. Mark took a deep breath. "Okay," he said, his voice steady despite the fear he felt. "I'll do it. I'll learn. But you have to promise me something." "What's that?" she asked, her gaze softening. "You have to promise me that I won't be alone in this. That I'll have help, because I don't know if I can do it all on my own." Her smile widened. "You won't be alone, Mark. We'll be with you every step of the way." And in that moment, Mark knew that his life had truly changed. He wasn't just a regular guy anymore. He was part of something much bigger, something that would shape the future of humanity. The road ahead would be difficult, but he was ready to take the first step. Together, they would face the challenges of the galaxy and prepare Earth for a new beginning. Mark stood at the edge of the rooftop, staring out at the sprawling city below him. The lights flickered in the distance, a reminder of how small the world had once seemed to him. Now, after everything that had happened, he realized just how much bigger everything was. His life had completely transformed in the past few weeks, and though he was still trying to come to terms with it, there was no turning back. The ceremony, the strange device, the galaxy that seemed to stretch out beyond his imagination. It all felt surreal. He had accepted the role, agreed to be part of a mission that would change the future of Earth. But what did that truly mean? How could one person, one ordinary man, play a part in something so vast? The woman, his partner in this strange new life, had promised him that he would understand everything in time. And though the fear still lingered, Mark was beginning to see that maybe she was right. This wasn't just about him. It was about humanity. It was about Earth finally stepping into a larger universe, a galaxy full of life and possibilities that had once seemed like fantasy. He turned away from the city view as the door behind him creaked open. She walked toward him with a calm expression, her presence always steady, as though she was a constant in this storm of new realities he was trying to navigate. "You're thinking too much again, Mark," she said softly, offering him a reassuring smile. Mark chuckled nervously. "Yeah, I guess I am. Just trying to figure out what's next." She nodded. "I understand. It's a lot to take in. But you've already made the first step. You've accepted your place in this, and now you need to trust the process." Trust the process. Those words echoed in his mind. It wasn't that he didn't trust her. He did. But how could he trust in something so big, so unfamiliar? "What happens now?" he asked, turning back toward the view. "How do we even begin?" "The first step is learning," she replied, stepping beside him. "You'll need to understand more about the galactic civilizations we'll be working with. You'll need to understand Earth's place in all of this. And most importantly, you'll need to learn how to communicate and build relationships with these other species." Mark nodded, but he still felt a sense of uncertainty. "It's not going to be easy, is it?" "No," she agreed, her voice soft. "Nothing worth doing ever is. But that's why you were chosen. You have something in you, something that will help you make the right choices when the time comes. You'll grow, Mark. You're not the same man you were when you first met me, and you won't be the same as you were yesterday. Every day, you'll learn more, and soon, you'll see the bigger picture." He looked at her, feeling a little more at ease. "So this isn't just about me. It's about Earth, about humanity's future." "Yes," she said, her eyes filled with certainty. "Humanity has always been capable of greatness. But until now, you've been too isolated, too focused on your own world. Now it's time for you to step beyond that. You're the bridge, Mark. You're the one who will guide your people to a greater future." Mark felt a rush of emotions. He had never considered himself a leader, never thought he had the qualities that could change the world. But somehow, in this moment, standing beside her with the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, he felt the spark of something inside him. Maybe he wasn't just a regular guy after all. Maybe, just maybe, he could be part of something that would shape the future. "Okay," he said, his voice steady now. "I'm ready. I may not understand everything, but I'll learn. I'll do what I can." The woman smiled, a proud look in her eyes. "I knew you would. You're stronger than you realize, Mark. You just have to believe in yourself." "I will," he said, nodding. "I don't know how to do it yet, but I will. I'll figure it out." The woman placed her hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and comforting. "You're not alone in this. I'm with you. We're in this together. And soon, you'll see that what you're doing is bigger than both of us. It's bigger than Earth. It's about the future of your species, the future of the galaxy." Mark looked at her, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. He had taken the first step into an unknown world, a world that was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. The weight of the future rested on his shoulders, but he no longer felt afraid. He felt a sense of purpose that was starting to grow stronger each day. "I won't let you down," Mark said, his voice firm. "You won't. she said, giving him a reassuring smile. "We're counting on you. And you won't be alone. There's a whole galaxy out there, waiting for humanity to join it. And it all starts with you." As the night wore on, Mark and the woman stood together, watching the stars in the distance. They weren't just lights in the sky anymore. They were the future. They were the beginning of something much larger than Earth could ever imagine. Mark's journey had just begun, and though the road ahead was unknown, he was ready to face it. The future was waiting, and he was going to meet it head-on.